Hello, and welcome to Talking with Famous People. This video is being made especially for famous person Ken's dad. Why? Because he is a rare bird, the ISFJ male, married to an ESFJ female, with an ESFJ female daughter, and an INFJ son, plus 17 dogs.
Three dogs.
Three dogs, okay. He was nice enough to pass a question along either directly or indirectly through Ken that says, how can they better communicate? ISFJ, ESFJ, how do they better communicate? Okay, so before we answer the question directly, let me do a brief overview of the cognitive function stacks of each and talk then move forward about how those display as behaviors and how those behaviors might conflict and how those conflicts might be addressed. Okay? So first talk about the cognitive function stack. In typing, if you're not familiar with it, if you're an ESFJ or an ISFJ who's watching this video, I don't make a lot of videos on those types, so you might not be that familiar with it. The ESFJ function stack goes FESINETI, FESINETI. Now what that means is extroverted feeling, introverted sensing, extroverted intuition, and introverted thinking. And for the ISFJ, you have the same four conscious functions, but in a different order. For the ISFJ, it's SIFETINE. So you're looking at two people who are pretty similar and are going to understand each other pretty well. And the reason is because their 1-2s are reversed and their 3-4s are reversed. Now, this is one kind of similar relationship that can work well. I feel as though it's more important, or it works best when you have the 2-3 switched. So this is why I feel as though ENTPs get along best with two types, ISFJs and INFJs, and the reason is mostly because the 2-3s are switched. So our FETI, I have it as my tool, and I've got the FE as the third function. They've got the tool of FE, and then they've got the TI as their third function. So that's a comfortable, compatible thing. What you have is not uncomfortable or incompatible, but in my mind it's less compatible, because here's why. So you have ESFJ going FESI. You've got ISFJ going SIFE. So the first person, the extrovert, is going to prioritize an extroverted feeling script that has the two people presenting to the world, and they're going to try to order the scheduling and stuff of that script based on that notion. Based on order the people around them and their schedules and stuff like that to make that vision of their script happen. And then the ISFJ, in contrast, is going to be much more interested in preserving security. So ISFJ is not going to want to take risks as much in general as ESFJ, or be less inclined towards risks, because the ISFJ has any in the fourth slot. So it's their weakest thing. They can use as much any help as they'll take. They'll take as much any help as they can get. Help them come up with more ideas about stuff. They like that. They understand the process of coming up with ideas, but it's in their fourth slot. So in contrast, NE is the third function of the ESFJ. That means it's like FE for me. So the relationship between the ESFJ and ISFJ is kind of like the relationship between the INTP and the ENTP, which is you guys probably get along really well, but you end up having a conflict because at the end of the day, you're doing the same thing in the same kind of a way, but for totally different reasons. And when that becomes uncovered, that there's a conflict at the core level. So for the ENTP, INTP, the conflict is, should we prioritize action or judgment? And it's probably something similar with the ESFJ and ISFJ. It's, you have a a need by the ESFJ to prioritize the presentation stuff, and a need by the ISFJ to prioritize the personal, real stuff of family. They might both end up getting their meaning out of similar things in similar ways, but at the end of the day, there's going to be some sort of conflict, a breakdown. Like, hold on, no, I don't want to do that one. You remember, we're doing this for real reasons here at home, says the ISFJ. And the ESFJ goes, oh, no, I don't want to do it that way. Of course, did you forget we're doing it for real reasons out there in the world that matter? And that's ends up being the conflict. And because FE stuff in both cases, the ISFJ needs the ESFJ to prioritize the FE of the family unit. The ESFJ needs the ISFJ to prioritize the FE of the presentation of the family unit externally. And as long as those things coordinate, you're fine. When they come into conflict, you're going to have some problems. If you do come into conflict, how should you resolve that conflict? Well, first of all, you need to talk explicitly about this. So you say, hey, I think this is the problem here. The problem is you are concerned or upset that don't appear to be really valuing the real thing that is important here, namely how we feel about the presentation of the stuff here at home, how we feel about each other, how we make each other feel here in this family. We want kind of an extended family, we want kind of a biggish family, but we don't want the world. ESFJ wants that, and that's where the conflict comes from. So I think ISFJ should go and say, ESFJ, I get it. It is more impactful when we go out together and do it in the world, and I realize that there's validity in wanting to frame and shape the identity that we present into the world, and I'm with you on it. And I hope that you can also be with me on my side of it. And the ESFJ goes, okay, yeah, I get the fact that at the end of the day, all those external people that we're impressing aren't there when you really need them in the darkest moments, because that's where family is for. And so I respect the fact that I need to prioritize that metaphysically as well. And then hopefully, once you understand that the value of the other has equal legitimacy, and practice understanding the legitimacy of the value of the other, then the conflict will go away. Because it's not like you guys are having a logical conflict. I can tell you that. You are not engaging in good argumentation, probably, I would guess. No offense. I don't mean to offend you. I'm just saying I lived with an ESFJ for a long time. And I love you guys. I want an ISFJ as my wife. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one right now. I haven't found any, but, first one I see is going to be ISFJ. What are you doing? Why are you taking me away? I'm carrying you away. Don't worry about it. Anyway, all joking aside, you guys are great. You're in my quadra. What can I say? We're quadramates. We understand things the same, kind of. You're warm, wonderful people, and the NTPs especially need you. So if you have your sister or your daughter, whenever she's of age to decide to marry somebody, you tell her to find herself an NTP, because it's whom she's meant to be with. Try to find an ENTP, ideally. So, because, look, I really believe in this dual shit. I watched my parents, an ESTJ and an ISFJ, never really quite exactly all the way figure it out, although they smoothed out most of the bumps, It just seems so sad that we don't fit perfectly all the time. But certainly, there's good ways to fix this, like I said. The suggestions I made. So, try that. Remember, it's a value dispute. Neither of you guys are winning the logic battle. If you accept that, then it's just a value dispute. And you just go, okay, I have to practice respect to it. Thoughts?
Sure, I'll have some later. I think Barry was asking, how does the TI demonstrate itself? I guess you kind of answered that a little bit, but...
Well, I didn't really give any examples, but I will tell you that my ESFJ ex-wife was sneaky smart. But she wasn't logical. So she was good at arguing. She was good at shifting ground. She was good at confusing me. Better than most people. But she fundamentally wasn't making logical arguments. She was making things that sounded just like logical arguments, but there's never anything to them. I don't know what to tell you. It's impressive. She can use FE to convince me with her FE somehow that she's making logical arguments. She convinced me.
What do you do in that situation where you have two people who have a greater tendency to use FE to sort of mask?
They have to practice the other one's values, so to the extent they can conflict, right? That's what I think it has to be with F people. It's not going to be a logic thing. They're not going to understand it differently because they logically think about it differently. That's not their decision-making function. That's not going to change the way they behave towards one another. They need to literally practice saying the words of their opponent's value, and practice expressing it as positively as possible, whatever that value is that is conflicting with their own. That way, both parties are expressing only positive things about the other person's value. And since there's nothing really to be decided anyway, it's not like they're saying, it's not like they're not arguing about something that's resolvable in a binary way like that. They have to resolve it by changing the framing with which they approach each other on the value conflict. Which they should do by practicing saying the words out loud. You have to say the words out loud to each other. That's the only way it fucking works. It's a magic spell. You should try it. Anything else?
So then,
go ahead. Sorry, I brushed that.
And then touching base more on maybe ISFJ, INFJ interaction.
I want to do a different video on that one. I want to make that a separate video. Anything else on this one though? ISFJ, ESFJ? And then we'll go to the INFJ component for the next one. Okay. Speak now or forever hold your pee. That's what they say. Hi, Diamond. Are you holding your pee?